Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Desserts have been served, so please continue eating. But because of the number of honorees tonight, we do want to keep it on time. I'd like to welcome you to the Snohomish County Sports Hall of Fame Induction Banquet. My name is Frank Foster. It is my honor to chair the committee. Tonight we have two new and one different feature. Tonight's banquet is being live streamed on Snohomish County Sports Commission YouTube channel. 2, the silent auction is online bidding using a credit card. However, if you have not made a bid and would like to, Dan Olson, I believe Dan is around, he's the chair. The auction chair can assist you. Please remember, you have 30 seconds to make that bid. If you are the winning bidder, you will receive notification on your phone. Finally, due to health district guidelines, the inductees will remain at their tables until recognized rather than sit at the head table. Also, when they come up, the arena has requested that we keep our mask on when we're making addresses to you. The Hall of Fame, which is under the umbrella of the Snohomish County Sports Commission, exists to recognize and honor athletes, coaches, teams, and a sports contributor or contributors who have distinguished themselves in their sport or vocation on the state, national, or international stage. In the classic novel, A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens wrote, "It was the best of times, and it was the worst of times." The reverse held true for the committee and tonight's inductees. Last year was the worst of times, dealing with the pandemic, rescheduling the 2020 banquet, and having to cancel the 2021 induction. An asterisk and an explanation will denote the reason for the cancellation in programs and displays. On the other hand, tonight is the best of times. We are thrilled to have all of you here as we finally honor and induct the class of 2020. Before I turn the program over to the Master of Ceremonies, I would like to introduce an amazing group of volunteers and the Sports Commission staff who have worked diligently planning, organizing, and when needed or necessary, making changes due to the pandemic to guarantee the banquet took place. They also secured or personally donated auction items as well as financially contributed. They volunteered on or chaired a committee with the goal of making the banquet a truly memorable evening for everyone in attendance. Committee members, please stand and remain standing until everyone is introduced. Jim Carter, Mike Clemens, Joe Coverson. We'd like to thank Joe for his work on the new display plaques that are in the display area. Tammy Dunn, Eddie Fernandez, Lori Franklin, Andy Hall, Roberta Hasted, Ron Hendricks, Terry Holloman, Jerry Jensen, who's also a Hall of Fame inductee for the class of 2018, Steve Miller, who's a Hall of Fame inductee for the class of 2017, Martin Napiahi, John Nearing. Thank you, John, for doing the invocation tonight. Dan Olson, Marcia Quint, Greg Riley, Susie Robinson, Jane Smoke, Nancy Snyder, who is a Hall of Fame inductee of 2012, Larry Walker, Kim Wilson, who's a Hall of Fame inductee for 2015, and Rich Haldy. I put Rich last because I would like to recognize Rich Haldy for his perseverance and commitment on the display cases. From negotiating with contractors to organizing and rearranging the memorabilia, he worked tirelessly to make sure the project was completed prior to tonight's banquet. Although she is not a formal member of the committee, Barb Haldy has worked behind the scenes, doing whatever was needed to make every display case a thing of pride and beauty for the inductees and a special place for visitors. On behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee and the Sports Commission, I want to thank both of you. You are awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a richly deserved round of applause for all of the Hall of Fame Committee members. They are an incredible group of people. This banquet could not take place without the financial support of the following sponsors. Sponsors, we are so grateful to all of you. Level 3 sponsor, Botesh Nash Hall Architects, W.W. Wells Millwork, LLC, Master Electric. Level 2, Awards of Praise, Glass by Lund, IRG Physical Therapy. Shannon O'Kelly is not here tonight, but Alex McGinty is. Tulalip Tribes Charitable Contributions. Level 1, Coastal Community Bank, Russ Keithley and Kim Keithley. J. Christopher Dunn, Edward D. Hanson Conference Center, Everett Downtown Storage, The Herald, who sponsors the Man and Woman of the Year. Russell and Hill, Attorneys at Law, and KRKO Radio. That's KRKO Radio, 1380 and 95.3 on your FM dial. They sponsor the high school athlete and Northwest Theater Press. Another key group are the table sponsors. They are Edmonds College, Everett Community College, Dr. Daria Willis, President, Friends of Sherry Chambers Wilson, Jill Mayer family, the Kim Hammonds family, Kim Wilson family, Krista Monreen family, Lane Rail family, Mike Conley family, MUV Fitness, Sean Henderson family. We'd also like to recognize the individuals and businesses who donated items for the silent auction. Bar Greens Coffee, Walker Coffee Company, Evergreen Speedway, Cedar Crest Golf Course, Tulalip Resort and Casino, Snohomish County FC, Seattle Storm, Angel of the Winds Resort, American Distributing Company, Seattle Mariners, Sean Henderson, Snohomish County Sports Commission, Lombardi's Italian Restaurant, Everett Aqua Sox Baseball, Hilton Garden Inn Seattle and Linwood, Hotel Indigo, Everett Waterfront, Boeing Future of Flight, Funco, Historic Downtown Snohomish, Susie Robinson, MUV Fitness, Foster Family, Chef John Howie, Haldy Family, Seattle Kraken, 360 Hotel Group. The names of individual donors are listed on the plaques in the display area. Please give a well-deserved round of applause to the individuals, sponsors, and auction donors. Here's the public service announcement. We're always seeking more individuals, groups, or businesses that would like to become donors, thus ensuring our mission of recognizing and honoring athletes, coaches, teams, and sports contributors will continue now and in the future. If you know someone or would personally like to become a sponsor, Steve Miller, would you please stand? Where is Steve? There he is, back over there. If you would like to become a contributor, please see Steve Miller after the banquet. Thank you. Finally, for those of you who forgot your camera or video, Sam Freeman is back behind that camera. Our banquet photographer is here taking photos, videoing, and live streaming the event. If you are interested in purchasing some or all the photos and or the video, see him after the banquet. He has left materials on your table for you to review. Since Tom Lafferty is an inductee, tonight's Master of Ceremonies is John Olson. John is the Executive Director of the Everett Community College Foundation. He has worked at the college in a variety of positions since 1990, including work in instruction, public relations, and the athletics department. One of his favorite projects was working on the team that created the Everett Community College Athletic Hall of Fame in 2009. An added fact, he has been an amazing supporter of this event and has attended 10 of our 11 banquets. John, we are still waiting for the written excuse for the one that you missed. Please welcome the Master of Ceremonies, John Olson.
I said to my wife, hey, I'd like to go to the sports banquet tonight. She said, what about the birth of our child? So you can see which one won out, Frank. So I appreciate that. We have a great program for you tonight. I'm so pleased that the inductees and award winners come from a variety of backgrounds. They brought distinction not only to themselves, but to the entire region. Congratulations to all. We'll start with the awards for high school students. We're pleased that KRKO and the law offices of Russell and Hill sponsor these awards. Thanks to the leaders of their organizations for their ongoing support. And tonight, KRKO's Steve Willits is here to present the awards, and I believe Matt Russell is accompanying him. So please give a nice welcome to Steve and Matt.
Thank you very much, John. And first of all, what an honor it is to be here tonight. We've been waiting for 2 years for this event, so very good to see everybody. I know for those of us who have been coming to this thing for a year after year, it's been a long year away, and certainly glad that we're able to finally get the 2020 class in here. I did want to make one other announcement before I introduce Matt and before we announce the high school athletes. I co-host a radio show called Prep Sports Weekly, which can be heard on 1380 KRKO, little shameless plug there. And one of the things that we had to do in 2020 that was a little different than in the past, we had to fill content on our radio show in a time when there were no high school sports. Normally during the football season, during the fall, we'll talk to cross-country athletes and coaches or football coaches, swimming, tennis, etc. We didn't have any of that last year, so we had to get a little creative. And one of the things that we did, we weren't exactly planning on doing this initially, but it all of a sudden just kind of came to fruition one day, and we had one guest and then another and then another. I think over the course of 8 or 9 weeks, we had each and every member of the class of 2020 in the Hall of Fame on our radio show. And consequently, what that did for me was it enabled me to get a chance to know the athletes a little bit, know the other folks that were inducted, the coaches, etc. And we were able to talk to them on the air for 15 or 20 minutes, but also I was able to connect with them in a different way in that I had a chance to call them on the phone, had a chance to text with them. And I can tell you right now, for those that don't know some of these folks that you're going to be hearing from tonight, this is a very, very special group. And it was one that I had a very strong privilege, and I was so happy to get to know. And I just wanted to say to all of them that are out here, because I know you're kind of spread out throughout these tables, what an honor it was for me to be able to meet all of you, and what a privilege it is to be in your presence tonight. So again, congratulations to each and every one of you for the award that you're about to be honored with tonight. So thank you again for doing the radio show, and best wishes to all of you. Now, having said that, we're here to honor the high school athletes of the year for both the 1920 high school year as well as the 2021 school year. And before I do that, I want to introduce a very special guest, because without him and without his firm, we wouldn't be able to do this. Russell and Hill has really stepped to the plate for us over the last few years to be our presenting sponsor for this award, but they've gone above and beyond. They've really stepped up, and not only have they been there for us in terms of financially making sure that we've got the greatest looking awards around, but also being a part of the events, getting to know the kids a little bit, and to be there with us for every step of the way. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Matt Russell from Russell and Hill.
Thank you. I recognize that short is very sweet. I just want to say what an absolute honor it is to be able to support these wonderful young athletes, and how exciting it is to watch them start the next journey of their lives. And I would ask you to give a quick round of applause, collective applause, to the parents of these kids over at the table over here, because they have done some amazing work to make some amazing kids. So thank you.
So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and announce the 4 winners for the last 2 years, our male and female student athletes of the year. These are high school seniors who And by the way, we also didn't just take into account their accomplishments on the field or on the courts. Certainly, we looked into other criteria as well, academics, what kind of leaders they were, what kind of citizens they are. And these are 4 individuals who I think we can all be very proud of, and the fact that they are Snohomish County residents, and bigger things are even to come for them yet. So let's go ahead and do the 2019-2020 award winners first, starting with the Female Athlete of the Year. Kylie Hubby, very special young lady, and she first came onto our radar her freshman year of high school when she took 3rd place at the state for wrestling. She won the state championship her sophomore year, took 2nd place her junior year, and then won a 2nd state championship her senior year. She also wrestled nationally during that time, where she was a runner-up at 2 different national championship tournaments that took place in Fargo, South Dakota. Also, Kylie could have won this award on just her wrestling accomplishments alone, but it went a little further with her. Her junior year of high school, after just coming off of a state runner-up in wrestling, the softball coach apparently had gotten word that she played softball once upon a time. And so apparently the conversations were had. They talked Kylie into coming out and trying out for the softball team. And again, she hadn't picked up a bat or a glove in a considerable amount of time. And all she did that year as a junior was set the school record with 13 home runs. She was named 2nd team All-State catcher and helped lead Lake Stevens to a 2nd place finish at the state tournament. Now, unfortunately, her senior year got wiped out because of COVID, but certainly a lot of the talk around the area was that she was maybe going to become a 20 home run hitter that season, maybe even set some state records or on some sort of level go for some state records and really accomplish some wonderful things. So unfortunately, she didn't get a chance to accomplish those things. But again, 2 state championships in wrestling, a runner-up, a 3rd place, 2nd team All-State when she hadn't played softball in years. This was an easy decision for us, and not only that, but she was an outstanding student also. The KRKO Russell and Hill 2019-2020 Female Athlete of the Year from Lake Stevens High School, Kylie Hubby. Now I should mention Kylie is currently attending school at Big Bend Community College over in Moses Lake, where she's going to participate in 2 sports this year, the 2 that we just mentioned. Her family has also since relocated to the east side of the state, so we do not have anybody to pick up the award for Kylie tonight. However, Matt Russell has been gracious enough to hold that award up, and we are going to make sure that Kylie gets that sooner than later. So Kylie, if you're watching right now online, congratulations again, very well deserved.
Hello.
Started to see the video there. I forgot that we did those last year. Oh, here we go.
I'd just like to say it's an honor to receive this award and be named the KRKO Female Student Athlete of the Year. I would like to thank KRKO for naming me the recipient, and a special thank you to the law offices of Russell and Hill for sponsoring the award. I'd also like to thank my coaches, teammates, family, and friends, and anybody that has supported me in my athletic journey and has helped me get to where I'm at today. I'm currently in Dahlonega, Georgia. I just started my freshman year of college at the University of North Georgia. I will be on the softball team, and I will be in the Corps of Cadets in ROTC programs here. I'm super excited for what God has planned for my future as a Nighthawk, and I miss everyone back at home in Washington, and I can't wait to come home and visit. Thank you again for this honor.
I suppose I should probably explain for a moment. Because we didn't have a banquet last year, we had everybody do a virtual online, and that was Kylie last year, who was at the time going to the University of North Georgia. She has since transferred to Big Bend Community College, so in case there's any confusion there. So again, congratulations to Kylie. Now to our male athlete for 2019-2020. And one of the criteria we tend to use for this award quite often, not necessarily obviously, because we're going to see somebody who breaks the mold here. A lot of times we try to find multi-sport athletes. If you're going to win this award for us, you have to really stand out. You have to dominate your sport, and you have to, in some ways, set records. And this is what this young man did. Matt King was a senior in 2020, and let me tell you a little bit about some of his accomplishments in the swimming pool. First of all, his sophomore year of high school, he won the state championship in the 50 and the 100 freestyle. He took his junior year off from swimming for Glacier Peak so that he could concentrate on nationals and also swim for his club team. And it's to my understanding that his senior year, he was very close to not swimming for the high school again, and kind of at the last second, I guess, decided, well, I'd really like swimming with those guys. I want to get back in the pool with them. So what does Matt do? He goes out, and not only does he win the state championship in both of those events for the second time in 3 years, he broke 2 different 29-year-old state records in those events. And I should mention the gentleman who had the records before him swam in the Olympics. Not a bad guy to break a record from. So Matt went out, he set 2 state records at the state championships in February of 2020. And not only that, but he also accumulated the most points at the state meet, most points ever, and was named the 4A swimmer of the meet. Matt, very accomplished, and oh, by the way, 3.9 GPA in high school while taking all college classes and studying to be an engineer as we speak. So Matt King, for all of his accomplishments and for what he's also done in the classroom, he is this year's 2019-2020 KRKO Russell and Hill Male Athlete of the Year. Should mention last year, Matt attended the University of Alabama. Oh, here we got a video first.
KRKO Male Student Athlete of the Year. It's an honor, and I would like to thank the law offices of Russell and Hill and KRKO for naming me the recipient of this award. I would like to thank the Snohomish County Sports Commission for recognizing the accomplishments of all of us student athletes. I'd also like to thank my coaches, my teammates, my teachers, and my family for all supporting me throughout all of my academic and athletic endeavors. I'm excited to begin my freshman year here at the University of Alabama, where I'll be studying mechanical engineering and swimming for the Crimson Tide. I hope everyone back home is staying safe and healthy, so thank you again, and roll Tide.
We should point out, too, again, because you get another year to look behind the curtain here a little bit. So Matt swam for Alabama last year, where I believe he had the SEC, where he had Alabama's most SEC points of anybody on the team, correct? He won the SEC title. Okay, he won the SEC title as a true freshman. Consequently, after that, his coach left the school, and he is now transferred to the University of Virginia, where he's swimming for the Cavaliers. So, again, we wish Matt all the luck in the world, and he's still studying engineering and expecting some big things from him. So, once again, Matt King, your 2019-2020 winner of that award. And thank you again to his parents, Linda and Craig. It's now time for our 2020-2021 Female Athlete of the Year, Aaliyah Collins from Glacier Peak. Aaliyah really caught our eye, I think, early on. I want to say it was her freshman year when we first had a chance to watch her play basketball. A very storied program, a program where it's not easy to play as a younger player. And all of a sudden, when you looked out on the floor, she was just shooting all over the place. And when I say shooting, I mean she was buzzing all over the place. Very quick, a ball hawk on defense, floor general on offense, and she was doing big things. And we knew fairly early that she was going to be something special, and she definitely was. As far as her basketball accomplishments, she helped the Glacier Peak Grizzlies take a 4th place in state her sophomore year, and she did one even better her junior year. I think we've got some Glacier Peak folks back there. Did one even better her junior year when she helped them to a 3rd place finish at state. She was named to the all-tournament team down at the Tacoma Dome, and also was an all-area player. And from somebody who was actually at all those games at the Tacoma Dome, she seemed to even play better when the lights were at their brightest. So one of those players who, when you knew that the game was on the line, you wanted Aaliyah on the court, and she did not disappoint. This past year, as a senior, again, this was a COVID-shortened season, she led Glacier Peak to a 9-0 undefeated record. And again, we didn't have a playoff this year, so unfortunately, we'll never know if they couldn't have won a state championship or not. I think they might have been favored, though. We'll always have that in our own minds anyway. She averaged 16 points, 4 assists, and 3 steals a game, and was named the Everett Herald Player of the Year, Girls Player of the Year in basketball. Oh, by the way, she didn't just do basketball either. She was also a track star. She was all Wesco this year in the 100, the 200, the 400, the 4x100, and the 4x400. We should also mention, not only was she a 5-time All-Wesco athlete this season, as a junior, she took 3rd in state in the 400, and she took 6th in state on the 4x100 team. So again, we're always going to be kind of left to wonder what if. And in my mind, Aaliyah Collins would have been a state champion in the 400 this year. So I'm thinking 2 championships at least, right? But wait, there's more. She also played soccer, helped her Glacier Peak soccer team to a state berth in her junior year. And this past season, they had a record of 7 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. And again, unfortunately, they did not have a chance to go any further than that. She was also excellent in the classroom, a great leader, and a fantastic kid. The 2020-2021 KRKO Russell and Hill Female Athlete of the Year winner, Aaliyah Collins from Glacier Peak High School. Aaliyah is currently attending college at Chicago State University, where she is pursuing a basketball career. And accepting the award for her tonight are her parents, Alana and Tony Collins. And now it's time for the KRKO Russell and Hill 2021 Male Athlete of the Year, Malachi Knight of Marysville-Getchell High School. I have a feeling a lot of you know this name already. Malachi's been, it's been well documented what he's been able to accomplish over the last few years. Can still remember my first time seeing him play basketball at Everett High School. He was a freshman, and we were broadcasting a game on 1380 KRKO. And I kept hearing about this freshman kid who was scoring 10-plus points per game, and heard that he was kind of special, but at the same time you're thinking, oh, he's a freshman, so we'll see. And it took me about 30 seconds to realize that we were probably going to be standing up on this podium 3 years later talking about him, and here we are. Just an incredible athlete. Malachi, his freshman year at Glacier, or Marysville-Getchell, averaged 14.8 points per game, and it was his sophomore year. Freshman year, by the way, he was also second team All-Wesco as a freshman. His sophomore year, he took it up a notch, 25.7 points per game. He then averaged 26.1 points per game as a junior, and then he went even further, 28.6 points per game as a senior, a two-time Everett Herald Boys Basketball Player of the Year award winner, one of the better basketball players we've certainly seen around here in quite some time, and he also helped the Marysville-Getchell Chargers to their first ever state tournament his junior season. So he was an outstanding basketball player, and basketball, depending on who you talk to, probably not even his best sport. He is a very, very accomplished baseball player. In fact, he was the 2019-2020 Gatorade State Player of the Year in baseball. That's not even to mention the fact that there wasn't even a baseball season that year. A lot of the awards that he has received come from the fact that he does play in some very high-level showcases as well as summer ball, where he's been recognized and noticed, and certainly colleges and professional baseball teams have certainly taken notice of what he's been able to do. He was a preseason All-American this season, and he ended up finishing this season out as a first-team All-Area player with a .366 batting average, a .509 on-base percentage, and a .609 slugging percentage. He stole 10 bases and was not thrown out once, and did not commit a single error in the field. Baseball America listed him as the 20th best pro prospect in the class of 2021 in the nation. And Baseball America also listed him as the number 73 overall prospect heading into this year's draft. And that takes into account not only high school players, but also college players. Malachi was expected to be drafted in July of 2021, the MLB draft. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess we should say, he elected to pull his name out of contention because he did want to play college ball first. So he is currently at UCLA, where he is planning on being a Bruin this year and playing baseball for the Bruins. Again, a very, very accomplished athlete. The 2021 KRKO Russell and Hill Male Athlete of the Year, Malachi Knight of Marysville-Getchell High School. And as we mentioned, Malachi currently at UCLA. His parents, Linda and Ryan Knight, are accepting the award on his behalf. So again, Kylie, Hubby, Matt King, Aaliyah Collins, and Malachi Knight, your 2019 through 2021 male and female high school athletes of the year in Snohomish County. Thank you.
All right, we'll move up a level to the community college level. We are pleased to have 2 years of awards at this level as well. We have two outstanding community college programs in Snohomish County. Both Edmonds College and Everett Community College have talented coaches, players, and administrators, and we're pleased to have representatives from each school tonight. So come on up, Garrett and Spencer. Spencer Stark is athletic director at Edmonds College. He's been there since 2017. He joins us to present the award for that school's female and male athlete of the year. A little round of applause for Spencer. And we also have Garrett Studer at the podium. Garrett started his job at Everett Community College in 2017 as well. We're happy to have him tonight. I know he likes to compete, so let's see if he can get an even louder round of applause. Let's hear it for Garrett. We had a little side wager on who would get the biggest round of applause. So, you guys, take it away.
I think Garrett beat me there, but that's okay. Good evening. It's great to be back here after not being here the last couple years, and it's a pleasure to introduce the Collegiate Athletes of the Year for Edmonds. I think the first is Sadie Gardner. She's from a small town in Utah, and she came to us and knew what she wanted to do and was very committed to improving every day to meet her goals. She is the typical athlete. She's working out all the time. She's constantly in the gym. She's a gym rat. She's in the weight room. And she ended up finding her academic path at Edmonds. And she went through a position switch after her freshman year, which eventually led to her being an All-American. And her coach, Tony Miranda, who's been at Edmonds about 10 years combined, said that she is the hardest worker that he's ever had in his program. And like many leaders, she did it by example. She was the captain of the team for both years. Sadie is not able to be here today. She's at Idaho State, but I believe she has a video with her acceptance speech.
Hello everyone, this is Sadie Gardner, the Snohomish County Female Athlete of the Year. Thank you so much to the Snohomish County Sports Commission for honoring me with this. I just want to shout out my athletic director, Spencer Stark. You're amazing. Also, big shout out to my coach, Tony Miranda. Thanks for putting up with me and helping me get to where I am. Thank you to our assistant coaches, my team. You guys are all amazing and supportive. I love you. Because of my experiences at Edmonds, I'm now at a Division I, and I'm furthering my education, and I'm on to a higher level. So I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
All right, hello everyone. I'm going to present the 2019-2020 Men's Collegiate Athlete of the Year. Do we have any Glacier Peak alum in the house tonight? No? A couple? All right, well, Bobby Martin, Glacier Peak grad, exploded onto the scene in 2019 after an injury sidelined him from the majority of the previous year. He led the team in scoring, averaging 16.7 points per game, and was second in rebounds on the team with 6.4 per game, all while routinely assigned to guard the opposing team's top scorer. So after the Trojans won their third consecutive North Region title, Bobby was named first team All-North Region, made the All-Defensive team, and was named Freshman of the Year in the North Region. He finished the season with 501 total points and shot nearly 55% from the field. Bobby also made the Dean's List and Academic Distinction List. He graduated with his AA from Everett Community College and played last season at NCAA Division II University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, where he averaged 7 points and 3 rebounds per game. He's back at UCCS this year for his redshirt sophomore season. Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Martin, and I believe there is a video of him as well.
Hey, this is Bobby Martin from Everett Community College, and I would like to say thank you to the Snohomish Sports Commission for granting me Student Male Athlete of the Year. It's such an honor to receive such an awesome award. I love my time playing basketball at Glacier Peak and also playing at Everett Community College, and I'm excited to start my new adventure and challenge at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs. So go Trojans and go Mountain Lions.
All right, and I am also going to announce last year the 2020 Women's Collegiate Athlete of the Year. Livy Fetterley, a multi-event athlete out of Traverse City, Michigan, shined brightly all season long, and by the end of it was a 4-time NWAC All-American. In the shot put, Fetterley had the best mark of the season in the NWAC by over 1.5 feet at 38 feet 4 3/4 inch, which set a new school record. This is the amazing part. She also finished with the second fastest NWAC 100-meter hurdle time at 15.39, which is the second fastest in school history, and the 5th fastest NWAC 200-meter at 27.31 seconds. So I don't know a ton about track and field, but I do know that throwers are not usually the fastest people out on the track. But Livy, it just shows how athletic she is. So in addition to those, the 200 meter and the 100 hurdles, she also ran legs in the 4x1 and the 4x4, in which the Everett Community College squad finished with the second fastest and the third fastest times in the NWAC last spring. She's on the academic honor roll and is back again to compete this spring. Ladies and gentlemen, Livy Fetterley, and she is here tonight to accept her award.
Hi, guys. So, actually, I just want to say that I didn't even know that I got this award until like 2 days ago. But I do want to say thank you, like my coaches, obviously Garrett, my family, my friends, my team was amazing last year. And I just really, really appreciate like everything that's been going on, even with the COVID and how people have been dealing with it. I appreciate it. But let's just say that next year this year, I'm definitely going to set 2 to 3 records. Just saying.
Next is for Shay Thomas, who is the 2021 Men's Collegiate Athlete of the Year. And Shay, like many of the student athletes the last 2 years, worked through all the challenges of COVID, the starts and the stops. So we're going to have a season. We did end up having a shortened season last year. And for Shay, that paid off because it led to a Division I baseball scholarship. He's a role model. He's a leader. Again, like our other athlete here tonight, hardest worker on the team by far. One of his assistant coaches, Ron Amore, who's been at Edmonds a couple decades, who is here tonight, said he was most impressed with how he approached the game. And he had an expectation not only for himself, but for his teammates to do things the right way. Shay is back in Louisiana at school and came out of the hurricane on the other side, so he is doing fine. He also sent in a video acceptance speech, and then his father, Jesse, is here and he'll accept the award.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Thomas, the Snohomish County Male Athlete of the Year. I want to start off by giving a shout out to the Snohomish County Sports Commission for honoring me with this award. Really appreciate it. I also want to give a special thanks to my athletic director, Spencer Stark, and all my coaches at Edmonds. All of you guys gave me all the support I needed and pushed me along the way at Edmonds, so I really appreciate all you guys. I also want to say thank you to my family for always supporting me in whatever I do and sacrificing so much time, energy, and money, and also making sure that you guys are always available for me. Everyone that I mentioned made it possible for me to fulfill my dreams of continuing to play baseball at the Division I level and hopefully beyond. So thank you guys so much. I'll truly never forget all the experiences and relationships that I built at Edmonds, and I'll never take for granted my time there. Thank you all so much.
The Everett Herald has presented our next award for more years than most of us in this room have been alive. It's a tradition that has been enhanced by this banquet, and I know you non-subscribers are all on the edges of your seat to see who the award winners will be this year. Nick Patterson from the Herald is here to present the Herald 2021 Man and Woman of the Year in Sports. Nick's the sports editor and columnist there. Please welcome Nick.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone back here at the Hall of Fame banquet. Let me first offer congratulations to all of our inductees, and also want to say it's good to see everybody's faces again after we weren't able to do this last year. I just wish that our former sports editor, Kevin Brown, whose position unfortunately at the Herald was eliminated as a consequence of the pandemic, was here to reprise his role as the presenter. But in his stead, here are our 2020-21 Woman and Man of the Year in Sports. Let's start with our woman. And this individual is a 2019 graduate of Lake Stevens High School, where she had a stellar distance running career, winning 9 individual state titles in cross country and track and field. That earned her a scholarship to Oklahoma State University, where in her first year she had a little bit of struggle making a big impact, but boy did she make up for that here as a sophomore in 2020-21. She kind of gave a sign as to what was to come when she finished second in the fall in the abbreviated cross-country season, finishing second at the Big 12 championship. Then fast forward to March, when they had this interesting thing because the cross-country national championships got moved from the fall to the spring because of the pandemic. And therefore what happened is they had indoor track and field nationals and cross-country track and field nationals 3 days apart. And she competed at both of those. And what she did was put up big All-American performances at both. First, she anchored Oklahoma State's distance medley relay team to a 4th place finish at the indoor national championships. And 3 days later, she ran the race of her life, shocking herself and her coaches in the process by finishing second at cross-country nationals. Unfortunately, injury cut short her outdoor track and field season, but that did not deter from what was an amazing breakout campaign for her. Our 2020-21 Woman of the Year Sports is Taylor Rowe. Taylor can't be here tonight because she is competing in her cross-country season at Oklahoma State, and she actually won a race on Saturday. And so accepting on her behalf is her father, Lawrence.
Taylor just wanted me to say a few words. First of all, she wanted to offer her a sincere thank you. She's extremely humbled to receive this award. As most of the athletes in the room can understand right now with this pandemic going on, travel is extremely limited. So we wish she could be here. She's so proud to be here from the Snohomish area, Snohomish County area. One of the things she mentioned to me, because I told her the only way I would get up and receive this on her behalf is if she wrote a little something. So she said she can remember being interviewed by the Herald when she was in 6th grade. And she's so grateful to the Herald because giving that visibility to her sport allows people in the community to know who they are and offer additional support and just give more visibility around to track and field because it's not one of the mainstream sports out there. And she just has great fond memories of that. And again, just wanted to offer her sincere gratitude for receiving this award and looks forward to being back in the area soon. Thank you very much.
Okay, on to our 2020-21 Man of the Year in Sports. This individual is an Edmonds native who graduated from King's High School in 2017, having led Knights to 2 high school state basketball championships. He earned a scholarship to one of the nation's best college basketball programs, Gonzaga University, and in his first 3 years at Gonzaga, he was a very good player. So good that he considered entering the 2020 NBA draft. He instead decided he was going to give it one more go at Gonzaga, and he ended up producing one of the best collegiate basketball seasons ever by a Snohomish County native. He averaged 18.6 points per game and 5.0 rebounds, and he was the top 3-point threat and team captain for a team that came very close to creating history, coming 1 win away from being the first undefeated national champion since 1976. He was named a first-team All-American by the Associated Press. He won the Julius Erving Award as the nation's top small forward, and he went on to be selected 15th overall in the NBA draft by the Washington Wizards. Our 2020-21 Man of the Year in Sports is Corey Kissbert. Corey can't be here today because he is getting ready for the NBA season, and accepting the award on his behalf is his mother, Derry.
So Nick said I could tell a quick Corey story. So I got to fly out there with him a couple weeks ago, the Sunday before Labor Day, and I got to stay for 4 days to help him set up his new apartment. And, you know, I'm a mom of 3 recent college graduates, so we do this a lot, don't we? We move them into their dorm, we move them into their apartment, we go to Target, we go to Costco, we go to all these things. I mean, it's bonding and fun, but it can also be like a whirlwind and exhausting and expensive. But the most important part of that little story is it was Corey's money this time and not mine. But as we were driving around in the SUV that I had rented because he was working on some lease deals, and you needed an SUV because you got, you know, you got the TV, you got the mattress, you got the everything, you know. He's like a deer in the headlights because I'm just getting that vibe from him because it's new city, new team, new job, new teammates, new, you know, and plus he's plunking down that credit card for the first time in his life every 5, you know, minutes, and that's just shocking. So I'm, you know, this is Labor Day, we're all day together, the next day is his first day with the Wizards, and I'm thinking ahead, I'm in mom mode, and I'm like, okay, so tomorrow, I'll take you to practice, and then I'll go and finish all these other things we have to do, and I'll come pick you up. And he's all like quiet, and I'm thinking, oh, he's just overwhelmed. And he turns to me and very cautiously says, Mom, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I just don't know how I feel about my mom dropping me off for my first day at work. And I was like, of course. I hadn't even thought of that, you know, all these players and their beautiful cars and they're, you know, and here comes the rookie with his mom, you know. So anyway, Corey is back to work and he's got his hard hat on and he's really looking forward to doing what he loves and what he's really good at. And he told me to personally thank the Herald for all of their fabulous coverage all these years and the support of his community all these years. He's just very grateful. We all are. It's a gift. It's just all a gift. So thank you from Corey. Thank you from our family. Thank you.
Steve Rabel is our guest speaker tonight. He's been in our living rooms as an Emmy-winning member of the KIRO broadcast news team, on our radios as the voice of the Seattle Seahawks, and in our memories as a wide receiver for the Hawks in their first 6 seasons of their existence. Mr. Rabel was one of 4 players named Steve, acquired in the 1976 season for the Seahawks. You might remember Meyer, Nielsen, Largent, perhaps. Yet as far as I can tell, this Steve is the only one that led the league in safeties in a season. Not a bad accomplishment. There's a nice bio of him in your program that I'm sure you've read, so let's get right to it. Let's give a nice Snohomish County welcome to Mr. Steve Rabel.
John, thank you. You'll have to excuse me. I'm limping just a bit, so those of you that want to race to see if that 4.35 actually was real back in the day. Anybody here ever had plantar fasciitis? What the hell is that? It's what a pain that is. It really is. By the way, I concur with all that have come up here and said, you know, thank goodness we've kind of made it out the other side. It appears, at least for the time being, of this whole COVID thing. But I was looking, and at this table right here, as a matter of fact, sir, right, you, sir, would you stand up? You, yes, please. No, not you, this gentleman right here. Turn around. I had that goatee and mustache until 3 days ago. a remnant of sitting in the house for way too long. Ma'am, right here, would you stand up, please? I had that hair until yesterday, and it was time to get a haircut. So I have cleaned up for you folks here, and of course I was told you have to wear a mask, so it's probably just as well. The other thing is, I don't know about the rest of you. I'm a fairly, I'm 67 years old. I'm pretty secure in myself at this point in my life. But listening to those kids, those young people, what they have done, what they have accomplished, I felt so lousy about myself. I have accomplished virtually nothing in my life when you listen to what these young people are doing today. So I'm amazed for them. I am happy for them. I congratulate each and every one of the award winners. There are some of you in this room, I know, who go back to the days of the Seahawks of '76. And yes, Niehaus, Meyer, Largent, Rabel, 4 Steves. I didn't remember the safety, but thank you for reminding me of that. It seems like a long time ago. For those of you that maybe weren't here at the time, we have so many new people into the area. If you know the name Steve Largent, he was the Hall of Fame wide receiver for the Seahawks from 1976 to 1989, I believe. And I was his food taster for 6 seasons. So that, to me, was that was important. I carried my water for the team by making sure that Steve never got sick before a game. I was, however, and I like to joke about the fact that I didn't have a great career, but I was around for 6 years. But I don't know if you knew this or not, ma'am. I don't think you knew this. I had my name on the cover of Sports Illustrated. It was on that address label, but still, it was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I didn't remember that Frank and I had met a number of years ago, and he reminded me, and it's great. We've been sitting up here chatting. I do remember, however, the flight that Frank and I were on. You don't even remember this, Frank. It was after a game. I don't remember why you were on business for some reason, but you were back in Cleveland when we had played back in Cleveland. And so here we come flying back home, and we won the game. We were all pretty excited about winning. And as we were taking off, and Frank sat down right beside me on the plane, and we got to talking, and we talked about Edmonds and Everett and all the rest, and Seahawks. And the pilot came on, as the pilot always does, and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being with us today, and congratulations to all you Seahawks and Seahawks fans heading back home. It'll be about 5 hours from Cleveland to fly back home, sit back, relax, and enjoy." So we're about, 40 minutes out of Cleveland, and the pilot comes back on. "Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to kind of give you a heads up on what's going on here. We have lost, for whatever reason, we've lost engine number 1. We're not exactly sure why." You remember this, right? We're not exactly sure why, but we have. I only say that this is a Boeing aircraft. It's 3 engines. We can fly all night like this. It's great, not a problem. But we will be a little late arriving in Seattle by about 45 minutes or so. Okay, so Frank and I go on. We have dinner. We're talking on the plane. An hour later, the pilot comes back on. "Ladies and gentlemen, this has never happened to me in 25 years as a captain for this airline, but we've lost engine number 3 now. And so we're now flying literally on 1 engine. But don't fear, this plane is designed to fly on 1 engine. We can do everything we need to do." I said, "Great." And Frank and I go back to talking, and all of a sudden he just stops. And he looks at me, and this light bulb comes over his head, and he said, "You know what? If we lose that other engine, we could be up here all night." And I thought, wow, Frank, that's exciting, Frank. And so that's one of the reasons why I've never spoken to him until tonight, as a matter of fact. So I was asked to talk a little bit of something about what we're all here for tonight, and that is honoring these young athletes. I just had the great pleasure, and I did mention this truthfully to Frank while we were having dinner, of chatting with my high school football coach on Saturday back in Louisville, Kentucky. His name is Jim Kennedy. He's in every high school Hall of Fame you can have in Kentucky. He's won state championships. He's a remarkable man, and he is 95 years young. And he can tell me what my stats were as a flanker back at Trinity all those years ago, and things that I cannot remember, certainly. But one thing I do remember about Trinity High School, all boys Catholic high school, by the way. Great football teams. Our dances were a little strange, but really good football teams. But we, on our helmets, I don't even know if you guys that played football, do you remember what was on your helmet, your high school football helmet? Can you remember to this day what was on your helmet? For us, it was a block T, and there were 4 words written around that T: pride, loyalty, discipline, achievement. Now, when you're in high school, you don't think about those words very much. Not a lot you do think about when you're in high school, other than let's go play a football game, let's hope we don't get caught at the after party, let's enjoy our friends, and let's stay friends after we all go off to whatever we're going to do with our lives. But those 4 words always did stick with me: pride, loyalty, discipline, and achievement. The pride in what you have accomplished, the pride in what you will accomplish further in your life, the pride that you have in yourself and your family and all that you have worked for and the people you have worked with over the years. And that always, and it's not a false pride, and it's not a cocky sort of pride, but it's a pride of knowing that you have accomplished something with other people and have done something really good in that process. Loyalty, we all have loyalty, I think. Our family, our friends, our co-workers, our community members. Loyal to be there for those people. Loyal to understand that I have to have empathy to listen to my neighbors, my friends, people I don't even know, and how important that loyalty is, and how people will remember. I promise you that those young people who are honored here tonight will remember by the time they're Frank's age that this community showed them the loyalty and the respect that they earned and that they will now pass on to others coming along behind them. Discipline. Now that has changed a bit over the years, because how many coaches are in here right now? Coaches, you couldn't get away with what you did back in the day and what I had to deal with as a player back in the day that the coaches are doing now. And that's probably a good thing, because, well, I got out here in 1976 to play for the Seahawks. For instance, we went through training camp in Cheney, Washington that first year. It was a 6.5-week training camp, no water at any practice. In Cheney, there was a time there were, at one point, on my 3rd year, I think, we had 6 straight days over 105 degrees, no water at practice. It was a discipline thing. It was understanding you can make it through this. You're tougher than you think you are. But that discipline, you have to work on that. You have to understand. I don't just mean making people run stairs. I don't mean yelling, grabbing face masks. The discipline of coming to work every day, be it your job, be it school, be it practice, and knowing what your responsibility is, and knowing that to get that job done, there are certain things you have to do, certain rules you have to follow, and that discipline, from getting up first thing in the morning to making your bed as soon as you get up, which has my wife of 40 years still doesn't quite understand that. I jump up, make the bed. She's still trying to catch a few extra Z's. Leave it alone. Come back and get it later. Okay. The discipline, though, to do that every day. I learned that at Trinity High School in Louisville. And finally, achievement. All of those other things will add up to what these young people have achieved and what they will achieve later on in their lives. And I promise you that they'll look back and they'll say, yeah, that was great getting that award, and having that plaque hanging on the wall is going to be terrific. And being honored by friends and family and the Herald and all that, that's terrific. But the achievement that they will remember the most is the love of their family shown to them that they now will pass on to their families, the children that they will have, the families that they will bring to this event, the young athletes perhaps that they will raise. The achievements will be too numerous to mention, and I hope that all of you as family members will be there to help them remember those achievements, to enjoy them, to remind them, moms and dads, remind them, you know, I remember when you were just like this, and we had to drop you off, where's Mrs. Kissbert, where we had to drop you off at school, and then at your job, and then with the Wizards. Remember that? Don't forget, kid, everything you've achieved. You had help getting there, and don't forget it. Those are the things I remember about being that young high school athlete. Those are the things that I hope I took with me in a somewhat short but still fun professional football career, and then to my job for almost 40 years at Krko, having just retired this last year. I think I learned a lot about people, about myself, about the community certainly. We didn't have to stay here. I came from Louisville, Kentucky originally by way of Georgia Tech. My wife was from up here, but she also lived back east at times. So we could have lived just about anywhere there was a good opportunity, but this was the place. And so here we are, 40 years later, still here, still enjoying the Pacific Northwest, loving the people here for what they have done, what they have achieved, what they have shown all of us and shown us newcomers when we did arrive here, lo, those many years ago. I have a couple of things that I always like to include when I'm doing a little speaking engagement of some kind. And I used to not have to do this, but I do now on a pretty regular basis. I always ask young people especially to remember these words. What we have done for ourselves alone dies with us, but what we have done for others in the world remains and is immortal. You have an opportunity, you young people, and you young people up there. Oh my God, look at that picture. Those young people up there on that screen. They have an opportunity to do outstanding things. And if you just do it for yourself, who cares? But it's when you make that decision to do it for everybody else, knowing that you probably won't get credit for it, that will be the most important thing that you do in your lifetime. So I hope that all of those young people will remember that, and from the sounds of things, great students, great athletes, great kids, they will, without question, know that, not having to be told by some old guy who just shaved a couple of days ago. Finally, I don't do speaking engagements unless I also mention my bride, Sharon. We've been married 40 years this last June. She is my rock. Yeah, thank you. I'll tell her that she got a sitting ovation. She'll appreciate that. She is my rock. She has lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. And so she is tougher than any football player I have ever known in my life. She is a remarkable woman, not the least of which is she's put up with me for 4 decades. But one of the things that I learned through her is doing good for others. So we have been involved in a myriad of charitable activities and organizations over our time here. And in the last 10, 12 years or so, much of it has revolved around research into lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and the Lupus Foundation of the Pacific Northwest, those kinds of organizations. And so I kind of wanted to always include a word about that, about how important it is that while we're all, especially during this time of COVID, thinking about each other and making sure that everyone else is safe around us, make sure that we're also reaching out to check on those others in our neighborhoods, in our cities, in our towns, in our churches and schools, just to make sure that they're okay too. They all deserve that opportunity to be befriended perhaps by someone new. And then these words from, and I'm not particularly a religious person, but I found these to be really important, from the theologian John Wesley, who said, "Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can." I used to have that memorized, but when you're 67 and you've been hit more than twice by Jack Tatum in a career, you tend to forget those kinds of things. So I have to read it. But I always remind myself, that is why we were here. That's why we're here, doing the best we can for all we can. And after listening to the stories of these young people, I'm looking out at a whole lot of families and parents and coaches who did that for these young people. And I appreciate you inviting me here to chat about that just for a little bit tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. We are ready to induct the class of 2020. We've got athletes from a variety of sports, a couple of legendary coaches, and a sports contributor to honor tonight. Let's get started with the sports contributor category. Our first inductee is Tom Lafferty. Tom is a 1975 Snohomish High grad and Snohomish County sports broadcasting icon. You can hear him on KRKO radio, where he works as a sports director and sportscaster for high school football and basketball. He is also the co-host of Prep Sports Weekly. Tom's been an arena announcer and sportscaster for many sporting events, including volleyball, lacrosse, baseball, hockey, basketball. We're pretty sure the only ones he hasn't covered so far are curling, ping pong, and Quidditch. You may know him best as the stadium voice and music director for the Everett Aqua Sox. He's been doing that for over 35 years after essentially appointing himself to that position. Musically, you may have heard Tom sing as part of the male vocal quintet Common Ground. He's traveled extensively with Snohomish High's marching band and has been music director at the Snohomish United Methodist Church since 1979. Tom has been a master of many Snohomish County events, including this banquet. We told him he had the night off. He took that very literally and didn't even show up to the event. You'll see the awards that Tom has received in your program. Let's just say that our newest member of the Snohomish County Sports Hall of Fame is a much appreciated and awarded man of many talents. Please take a look at the video screen for a message from Tom.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think a person sets out to become a Hall of Famer. I sure didn't. It's really the case of being in the right place at the right time, plus I always knew how to set up the gear. When Bob Bavasi moved minor league baseball to town, I wandered by their barely opened office back in 1984, told him I was going to be his public address announcer, and for some reason, he agreed with me. At the time, it seemed cutting edge. I played the Jeopardy theme when the opposing manager visited the mound. It got a laugh, and I was hooked. 37 years later, the Jeopardy theme still gets a laugh. And a year later, the sports director at KRKO got fired in the middle of the summer, so Bill Kusler and I walked into the station manager's office and told him we would handle his live play-by-play of high school sports. The right place, at the right time. Plus, I knew how to set up the gear. 36 years later, we're still hanging out in high school stadium press boxes. Some groups of friends get together to drink and gamble on Friday nights. We get together and broadcast high school football. There are way too many people to thank individually tonight. All the people that have done color analysis with me, all the guys that have done stats and spotter, and the coaches that by now are used to having a microphone stuck in their face, the athletic directors, more importantly, the athletic department secretaries, and we couldn't do any of this without the custodians. Thanks again to the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me for this honor. Hopefully we can all get together again next year.
Again, Tom couldn't be here tonight, so accepting his award is Steve Rabel. Thank you, Steve. The next athlete we'd like to invite up is Krista Monreen. Krista Colburn Monreen is a 2004 Kamiak High School graduate and four-time All-Wesco South shortstop. During her senior year, she led Kamiak to the 4A district title, state quarterfinal, and was named to the All-State softball team. While at Kamiak High School, she also played select softball for the Washington Lady Hawks. In a Herald article featuring a story about her softball success, she gave this quote: "It was a good old-fashioned hard work. I go to high school practice, to individual hitting sessions, or sometimes I do hitting and fielding sessions to strength workouts." All of that contributed to her successful career at UCLA, where she astoundingly started 233 consecutive games. She spent the 2008-09 season as a fifth-year undergraduate Bruins assistant coach. Your program lists many of the accomplishments between 2005 and 2008, and it's notable that her successes came both on the field and off. She won the Sharon Backus Award and the UCLA Scholar Athlete Award. Additionally, Krista kept busy with softball during her summers at UCLA by playing on the Shoot or Shut Hurricanes. You can tell me which one that was. In 2005, the Hurricanes won the ASA's national championship, and she was named first-team All-American. Like many athletes, Krista was drawn to coaching after playing career at UCLA. She led the Riho Athletics softball team to 2 regional championships and took both those teams to the Nationals. She currently lives in Snohomish with her husband James and 2 sons, Patrick and Henry. I'm sure they're all very proud to have a Hall of Famer in the house. Congratulations, Krista.
Hey. Hello. All right, first I'd like to say what an honor it is to be here this evening, standing amongst my fellow inductees. What an impressive number of men and women, and I'm humbled to be a part of this group. Thinking back to when my softball career, or really when my love of the game started, it was in our backyard in Southern California around age 4. My dad hung a wiffle ball from an orange tree, and I would hit and hit and hit for hours, and that's when I would say my softball journey began. Fast forward to what I would call the pivotal turning point of my softball career. I was 12 years old, and I loved all things softball. My dad and I would watch softball anytime it was on TV, and back then that was few and far between. My dad always had instructional videos, bats, balls, nets, all being delivered to our doorstep every day. And this was before Amazon Prime, so I have no idea how he did it. Anyway, back to this pivotal turning point. As I mentioned, I was 12. We were at my private hitting lesson at Edmonds Community College. It was the middle of summer, and it was so hot in this indoor batting cage. I was sweating bullets, and I remembered I turned to my dad and my hitting instructor, Lonnie Hicks, and very confidently stated, I am going to play softball at UCLA. I spent each day from there on working toward that goal. The blood, the sweat, the tears, the missed homecoming dances, and other sacrifices that I made because I had my eyes on this dream. Fast forward again, my junior year in high school, I had just returned from nationals, which is when college coaches were allowed to meet you and ultimately could present you with scholarship offers. I was incredibly fortunate to have multiple offers to be considering for. We actually had the weekend off of softball, but I loved the game so much I went to watch a local tournament, and I happened to run into my old coach, Lonnie Hicks. I hadn't seen him in years. We caught up. He asked me how things were and if I had any offers. I remember telling him that I did, and that I actually had one from UCLA. I'll never forget the look on his face. He was so puzzled as to why I was even thinking about other options. I immediately went back to that, in my mind, to that day in that hot batting cage years ago where I had declared my dream, and I knew exactly what I had to do. I called Coach Inquist later that day at UCLA to make it official. I have so many stories of softball, but I will spare all of you this evening. Softball was such a huge part of my life, and I know that I would not be who I am today without every experience and opportunity that softball offered me. It is so exciting to see the growth in the sport, not only in this community, but across the country. And I'm hopeful that my experiences in some way helps little girls who are hoping to achieve the same types of dreams that I did, much like the pioneers of the sport before me. That said, it feels really strange to be standing up here alone, as I certainly didn't get here by myself. I could not have done a single thing without the never-ending love and support of my parents. I wouldn't even have been at that batting cage at age 12. So thank you to my mom who's here tonight, and to my dad who I know is looking down really proud right now. There are so many others to thank, hundreds of teammates and opponents, many of whom have become my lifelong friends. Coaches like Lonnie Hicks, Dan Keller, Steve Van Ransom, to name a few. My Kamiak coaches, Susie Robinson, Rachel Kane, and lastly, my coaches from UCLA, Sue Inquist, Gina Vencioni, Kelly Inouye Perez, and Lisa Fernandez. I have learned so many life lessons from all of you that I still live by today. Just ask my husband. Early is on time, right? I'd also like to thank the community of Mukilteo and Snohomish County, the Mukilteo Beacon and the Everett Herald that even followed me beyond my days at Kamiak while I was at UCLA. A huge thank you to all of my family for being here to support me tonight. And last but certainly not least, thank you to the Snohomish County Sports Commission and Hall of Fame for this incredible honor.
right here between Steve and myself.
Can we take our mask down? Yes. Okay, ready?
Krista mentioned the orange tree. I was reminding Mrs. Kissbert, you probably don't need to bring orange slices to Corey's team at the end of the game if you do get to one of his games. Our next athlete to be honored is Everett Connolly. Earlier tonight, we honored the Everett Herald Athletes of the Year. Our next inductee was the Herald's Man of the Year in 1951. It took us a while to get Everett Connolly into this hall, but tonight we're checking that box for him as well. Conley was a two-time Golden Gloves champion while at Everett High, a two-time NCAA champion during his time at Washington State University, multiple Pacific Coast champion, and the winner of the 1951 John S. LaRoe Trophy given to the most outstanding college boxer in the country. At WSU, he won 63 of 66 collegiate boxing matches. His overall amateur record was 256-6. In 1984, he was inducted into Washington State University's Athletic Hall of Fame, and in 2005, he was ranked number 26 on the Everett Herald's top 50 all-time athletes list from Snohomish County. And like many athletes we honor here tonight, Ev Conley gave back to his community once his competitive days were finished. He led the local Kiwanis Club and the local Lions Club, serving as president of both those service organizations. And perhaps most importantly, Conley was the physical education director of the Everett YMCA and played a key role as the YMCA expanded across our county. We lost Ev in 1985 at the young age of 56. Tonight we're joined by his son, Mike. Mike Conley is here to accept the award for the newest member of the Snohomish County Sports Hall of Fame, Ev Conley. Come on up, Mike.
Good evening, thank you. We hear a lot of numbers here, 256, 6, 3, 2, 1, all kind of meaningless numbers until there's a reference point. And every Hall of Fame member in this hall or any hall, I think, get here because of statistics. So like pretty close? So again, to 256 wins, 6 losses, 3 of them before he was 16, and he avenged all but those just one. They didn't avenge. 3 Pacific Coast championships, that's all you could win in college because freshmen weren't eligible to compete. 2 national championships, and the one was the John S. LaRoe Trophy winner. So if he were here tonight, he wouldn't want to talk about any of those numbers. He would want to talk about what he did in Snohomish County from the time he left Washington State in 1952 and for the 30 or so years left. So if that's okay, can we do that and not talk about his sports accomplishments? Because he'd be humiliated to do that. So I'm going to start at the beginning, if it's okay, just for a few seconds, and tell you that age-old story about a kid that was snitching purses from grandmas and crosswalks. He had a drug and alcohol problem at 3 and was destined for a life of crime until somebody took him off the streets and took him to a boxing class. Does the story sound familiar? It has nothing to do with my dad. This is the guy we're talking about that was not stealing purses. He started very young. He was getting picked on. He was bullied. He was beat up by kids of all ages, younger and older, boys and girls. And his older brother Harold took him to a boxing club and said, "I'm done sticking up for you." And so we went to the Everett Boxing Club. Joe Callan was the coach, and he took to say he took to boxing like a fish to water is kind of an understatement. He had a combination of lightning fast hands, and he danced like a dancer. His footwork's like a dancer. Who knew? But so over the course of time throughout his high school career, he amassed a win-loss record just under 200 wins, and was on his way to a college career, correct? Would everybody think that? There was one problem, and that was my dad hated boxing. So he graduated from Everett High and went off to California, to Marysville, not Marysville, Washington, Marysville, California, where he got a job in a cannery that my uncle set up for him. During that whole time, Ike Dieter, boxing coach at WSC back then, Washington State College, continued to try to recruit him. And after a couple of years of convincing him that probably cannery life was not for him, talked him into coming to Washington State. So he's a little bit older when he got to Washington State, a couple of years later. And then amassed that 63-3 record and the John S. LaRoe Trophy. After that, my mom got married. He married a gal by the name of Donna Sylvie, who, anybody remember Keith Jackson? Keith Jackson and my dad were real close friends from Washington State, and they introduced each other, and Keith and my dad remained friends until my dad's death. But went off and served his country in the Army, came back, graduated at Washington State, and came to Everett as the athletic director. Tonight, he'd want to know how his babies were doing, and his babies were the extension programs of the YMCA. That's what he was all about the last 2/3 of his career. And I'd like to just chat about, just for a second if I can, about how that all reflects back to what we're doing here tonight. The Marysville YMCA was the very first extension program, and Brett Summers is a member of your Hall of Fame. Is Brett here tonight? Outstanding boxer, five-time Golden Boy. I mean, probably the greatest boxer ever out of Snohomish County, including my dad. But there's a great chance that Brett Summers never puts on a glove if he doesn't join the Marysville YMCA when he's 8 years old. There's a terrific chance that Troy Summers would never have been a boxing coach, and he's a member of your Hall of Fame. And Robert Shannon would not have been coached by Troy Summers. That's how it all kind of comes back. So that's the kind of thing he'd want to be remembered for tonight. I appreciate the award, accepting it. He would be honored, he would be humbled, and thank you very much.
Sean Henderson is our next inductee. A 1990 graduate of Cascade High, Sean led the Bruins to state championships in 1987 and 1989 with 2 second-place finishes in 88 and 90. He's a member of that school's Hall of Fame, but then nearly everyone with the name of Henderson is in that hall. Outside of high school, Sean had quite a good run with his club team as well. He was a 2-time state champion, regional champion, and 1-time national champion. Adding to his already impressive resume, Sean was part of the U16, U18, U20 United States national teams while leading the way as captain of the U18 team. Sean went on to UCLA and enjoyed quite a bit of success there, including being a member of the national championship team. He was a 1993 team captain, earning MVP, All-America, and Academic All-America honors. Following his time at UCLA, Sean played 11 years professionally for several teams, including the Seattle Sounders, retiring in 2005. Sean stays involved with soccer as a coach for area teams and professionally as the scouting director for the Seattle Sounders. He resides in Bothell with his wife Jody, son Quinlan, and daughter Ruby. Congratulations, Sean.
Thank you. And like Steve, normally I need glasses, and I wrote down notes, and I can't read my notes without my glasses, so it doesn't help me too much. So you got to just bear with me. I'm honored to be here tonight, and congratulations to all the other inductees. It's an honor to be included in a class, and I know there's at least 2 other fellow UCLA Bruins tonight. Being inducted into the Snohomish County Sports Hall of Fame makes me think about some of the life lessons I learned growing up through my family and through a lifetime of playing soccer. And these life lessons, my wife Jody and I try and pass on to our kids, Quinlan and Ruby. And there's a few that I think are important that I'd just like to highlight tonight. The importance of setting goals It doesn't matter whether it's a small short-term goal that's easily achievable or a big lifetime goal that will make something of you if you can achieve it. So that is something that my parents taught me and my brothers taught me growing up, and it's something that I decided to commit myself to, that constant self-improvement all the way through my life. And so when I was in 3rd grade at St. Mary Magdalene here in Everett, there was 2 Seattle Sounders professional players that came to the school. And we put on an assembly, and they juggled and they interacted with all the students. And from that day on, I decided my goal was to be a professional soccer player. And someday I was going to play for the Seattle Sounders. And so 40 years have gone by, and I not only played for the Sounders, but I'm still working for the club as the sporting director. One thing that we've decided to try and make our goal within the Sounders is to be the best club in the Americas, North and South America. And tonight, we're playing for a championship in the Leagues Cup against a top team from Mexico. And I know there's a couple people here that are checking the scores, and we went up 1-0 in the second half. We're playing right now in Las Vegas, so we're fingers crossed that we'll be able to hang on and win another trophy. The other goal that I think is important, and this is something that my parents taught me, was people always remember how you make them feel. And it took me quite a while to really understand what this phrase even meant. But I think when I look back, it's one of the reasons that I developed a strong work ethic. I never wanted to disappoint the people that were close to me: family, friends, teammates, coaches, teachers, classmates. And so with that in mind, it has played a big part in my relationships, my effort in sports, my effort with school, and I carried on with my current job. And in my current job, our mission statement with the Seattle Sounders is to enrich lives through soccer. And so that really gets to the very essence of how you make people feel. And the last thing that I'd like to touch on is successes and failures, and how you deal with those as a person really determines your future path. And as a coach, I used to tell the players I coached that you never get too high after a win, you never get too low after you lose a game. What you need to focus on is your performance. There's always a difference between performance and results. Sometimes you can play well and lose, sometimes you can play poorly and win. But if you focus on your performance and you try and commit yourself to that constant self-improvement, you can improve as a player, and we can improve collectively as a team. And so with that in mind, that commitment to constant self-improvement was one thing that I tried to do throughout my playing career. So I do want to say thank you to the Sports Hall of Fame committee for including me, particularly Rich Haldy, Eddie Fernandez that I worked closely with, and to all the people that put on the banquet tonight in a time period that is not easy to put on a public event. So thank you very much.
Our next athlete, Jill Mayer, also began competing at a young age and became successful at the international level. Her career started on the Everett School's Special Olympics team, where she participated in basketball and track and field. After graduation from Everett High, she joined the Everett Independence Special Olympics team. This team competes in a variety of different sports, including rhythmic gymnastics, tennis, basketball, golf, swimming, bowling, and soccer. In 2003, Jill was selected for Team USA at the Special Olympic World Games in Dublin, Ireland. She came home with 1 gold medal and 4 bronze medals for rhythmic gymnastics. In 2011, Jill earned a silver medal in golf skills in the Special Olympics World Games in Athens, Greece. 6 years later, she won a gold medal at the Special Olympics North America Invitational Golf Tournament, competing against United States and Canadian golfers. Jill consistently gives back to Special Olympics by participating in fundraising efforts sponsored by Everett and state FOE Eagles auxiliary organizations. Please give a round of applause for Snohomish County Sports Hall of Fame inductee Jill Meyer.
Good evening. I am Jill. I'm so excited to be here tonight to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I would like to say thank you to my family and friends and all my coaches who support me during my 30 years competing in the Special Olympics. A special thank you to my gymnastics coach, Ellen Pringle, and my golf coaches, Elaine Abe, and my brother Mark. They taught me the skills that brought me to the Special Olympics World Games in 2003 and 2011. Thank you to Rich and Tammy and the Snohomish County Sports Commission for selecting me for this great honor. And thank you to Special Olympics coaches Matt Ballou and Jason Mayer for nominating me. And I'm a big sports fan, especially of the Everett Sox and Tips and all our teams. I am happy to be inducted with such a great group of sports people. It is great after the delay we are finally able to be here to celebrate. Again, thank you to everyone that worked so hard to make this possible.
Our next inductee is Sherry Chambers Wilson. Sherry's chosen sport is judo. She began at an early age at the Snohomish Dojo and was successful at the local and national levels beginning in the early 1980s. She has medals from the Pan American Games, the World University Championships, the Austrian Open, the World Championships, and was a member of the U.S. team from 1982 to 1996. Throughout her career, she not only competed, but was a leader as well. She was selected captain of the Olympic Training Center judo team, captain of the 1995 U.S. Pan American Games, and showed her respect for both her coaches and teammates in both of those roles. She continued her involvement with the sport as a coach, helping athletes earn multiple national and international medals as the operator of the Boulder Training Center. She helped future Olympians as an assistant coach at the U.S. Olympic Training Center, and She continued to take on leadership roles as serving on the USA Judo Board of Directors and as the Vice President of Colorado State Judo. Her professional work includes serving as the Director of International and National Events and Director of Marketing for USA Judo, and she currently serves as the USA Judo's Director of Development. Tonight, she joins us as the newest member of the Snohomish County Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Sherry.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here tonight. I want to start by thanking the Sports Commission. This is a great honor, and I want to also congratulate all my fellow inductees. We really have a great group of people here tonight. Let's give everyone a hand, please. Please know there's nothing more precious than being honored in your hometown. A lot of us have won accolades all over the world and all over the United States, but being honored at home really has something special, and it brings a whole special meaning to your career. I started my journey in Snohomish, Washington, at a local judo club. Then I participated in judo at the junior high school, then at the high school, Snohomish High School, and later in 1982, I moved to the U.S. Olympic Training Center. There I spent 14 years on the national team, followed by 17 years coaching, so it was quite a long time there. Through this experience, I was blessed to travel the world. I competed and traveled to over 50 countries and made friends across the globe. It was really an experience that, until you've gone through it, it's very hard to explain what it's like, but it was very, very rewarding. You guys can laugh because my font's 24 here. So I was able to do things like walk the Great Wall of China, visit Buckingham Palace, and explore the Red Square in Moscow, things I never would have done if I hadn't done judo. It was a pretty amazing experience from a small-town girl from rural Snohomish, Washington. The Olympics are 2 weeks long every 4 years. And one of the things that we always say as Olympic athletes is that it's 2 weeks on Earth where the world comes together and everyone is nice to each other. And it's something I really, truly believe in my heart is true. And I also believe it's our responsibility as athletes and inductees to continue all the things we learn through sports. For me, that's been the value of fair play, camaraderie, friendship, respect for different cultures. These are all the things that make our world a better place. I will forever be grateful for the work ethic I learned in Snohomish. There's nothing like growing up in a farm town. You sure know what work is when you grow up in a place like Snohomish. I want to thank all of my friends and family, my new friends that are here, my old friends, and everyone that's supported me through my career. You guys, that means so much to me. Thank you so much for being here. And, you know, there's a few people I really want to mention tonight because, as you've heard from everyone, your journey is never a journey that's done alone. Your journey is something that you participate in with many, many people. You cannot get there without those people that help you along the way. So I want to talk first and mention my girlfriend, LeMay Pettibone. Without LeMay, I would have never been introduced to judo. I started judo with LeMay at 11 years old. So LeMay, thank you for bringing that to me. That was great. You changed my life. I also want to mention my teammates from high school, Leah Fulmer, Mark Glacier, Chris Williams. Without you three, my dreams would have never come to fruition. You helped me train every single day to get there, so thank you very much. I also want to go on and talk about my best girlfriend from high school, Chris Bodie, and her husband, Darren Bodie. I cannot tell you all the times I could not come home because I had a tough competition schedule, a tough training schedule. I couldn't get away, and they made that long trip to Colorado to come and see me, always made time for me every year. So I love you guys. Thank you. Just a few more, I promise. My son Jonah, where he's right there. I cannot tell you how much I dragged this guy from the time he was a baby to tournaments. When my son was 6 weeks old, I ran the national championships, and my mother came and sat in the hotel room and watched a newborn baby while I did that. So he has just been a trooper all through my career. From the time I started coaching, I had him, so now he's on his own path, and I'm very proud of him, and I can't wait to see what he does. I also want to mention my older brother and my niece. They used to come every month and see me when I was in Colorado. And you know, when you're training like that and you're traveling and you're on airplanes and you're living in hotels, having that touch of home is such an important thing just to keep you grounded. You really need that. You need to surround yourself with people you trust, people you can rely on. They were always there for me. My brother would fund me to things, fund me to things that, you know, when I didn't have the money to go, so he was always there for me. Still my biggest sounding board. Love him so much. Thank you. And then finally, I have to close by mentioning my parents. So my dad, who's passed on, was a guy that believed he could do anything. He set his mind to it. There was never an obstacle. There was always an opportunity. And I really believe he taught me that and he showed me that. And I'm so blessed he was my dad. And then I have to mention my mother. My mother was there from day one. She used to drive 90 minutes home from work, then another 20 minutes to pick me up from practice and get me home. She'd cook for all the judo tournaments. She'd had multiple athletes stay at her house, always housing people, keeping them, driving them up and down the coast to California in the team van. You name it, my mom was there, and she continued to do that all the way through my Olympic experience. So I love you so much, Mom. I couldn't have a better mom. Thank you. And my stepdad, Marv, who stepped right in after my dad was gone, and he's just been so kind and such a good inspiration to me. Both of them continue to help to guide me every day. I mentioned all those people because I want to really emphasize how much we have to say thank you to those that do things for us in sports. Without them, we are not anything. We cannot accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. I want to leave you with one final thought tonight. One takeaway. Sports is about a journey, especially the relationships you make along the way. And for the best thing for me about judo has been, even though that my competition days have ended, the friendships I have and the relationships I have built will last forever. And this is something that can't be replaced. I want to thank you very much for the honor, thank the Hall of Fame, thank the Sports Commission and the Herald, and thank you for having me.
All right, let's move on to our two coaches. First up is Kim Hammonds. Kim graduated from Snohomish in 1964, Snohomish High 64, and headed over to Central Washington to play baseball. He enjoyed quite a bit of success there and earned NAIA honors for his play at shortstop while competing on the 1968 team that is in the Central Washington University Athletic Hall of Fame. His interests shifted to coaching pretty soon after his college playing days were over. Players at Green River Community College, Everett Community College, Snohomish High, and numerous American Legion teams have all called Kim coach. Over a 25-year career at Snohomish High, Kim Hammonds won 7 district titles, appeared in 10 state tourneys, and won 2 state titles. His record at Snohomish was 385 and 209. That's a 64.8% winning percentage. The 385 wins is among the most wins by a Washington high school baseball coach, and included an incredible 20-0 season in 2015. You'll also read in our program that Kim spent time at Snohomish as an assistant softball coach with his wife Sherry from 1984 to 88, assistant coach with Gary Bedlington from 1989 to 92, and was Snohomish's head coach in that sport from 1993 to 2018. His honors include membership in the State Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame, and tonight he'll add to that list with his induction into the Snohomish County Sports Hall of Fame. Please welcome Kim Hammonds.
Well, I remember every one of those 209 losses. I'll tell you that right now. I don't remember any of the wins except one. Tonight I run into Chris Geston. Played for me in 1992. And we had a pretty good ball club, and we went up to Oak Harbor to play a game, and we couldn't do squat. I'm telling you, we couldn't field the ball, we couldn't pitch it, we couldn't hit it, and we're down 9-0 going into the top of the 7th inning. We have 2 outs, there's nobody on base, and I'm down at third base, and I'm thinking about, I've got to give an after-game speech. This is a loser-type coach speech right here. I've got to come up with some positive stuff real fast. Next thing I know, there's a ground ball hit. Guy makes an error. Fly ball left, he drops it. We have 10 straight hits with 2 outs. We win the game, 11-9. That doesn't happen. And it was a great memory. Very honored, very humbled to be inducted into the Snohomish County Sports Hall of Fame. And I accept this award for my family, all the coaches, all the players, and Snohomish High School. I will be forever grateful to Dick Armstrong for hiring me and to Snohomish High School for allowing me to coach for 33 years. Another coaching career from 1983 to 2017. It's a great ride. This is my card. This is all I'm talking about today. Okay, one of the things I want to be remembered for is in 1997, I came up with a redesign for the Snohomish High School baseball field. We had virtually no dugouts, no stadium whatsoever, no grandstands. And so I came up with a plan. And because the Snohomish School District was $1 million in the red, Snohomish School District allowed us to build our own stadium, all by volunteers, all by friends of the community. We raised our own money, did our own work. Here's a quick video. Anyway, thank you very much.
Our second coach tonight, selected for induction, is Dwayne Lewis. Dwayne began his career as a wrestler, but soon became interested in track and field, lettering 3 times at Seattle Pacific University. Like many others we've heard about tonight, Dwayne served as captain of his college squad. Following his time at SPU, Coach Lewis was hired as a classroom educator and track and field coach in the Edmonds School District. As coach for both the girls and boys at Linwood High, his teams won multiple league, district, and state titles, and he coached over 30 individual state champions. In 2009, he was inducted into the Washington State Track and Field Coaches Association Hall of Fame. In 2016, he was chosen the Girls High School Coach of the Year for Washington State by the U.S. Track and Cross Country Coaches Association. Dwayne's positive and charismatic approach and ability to establish meaningful connections with students inspired them to become their best. He often encouraged students to join the track program who otherwise may not have participated in any sport. Tonight, we are pleased to induct Coach Lewis into our Hall of Fame. Please welcome Dwayne Lewis.
Well, I should make a correction here. I see in the program they have me wrestling for 4 years at Shoreline High School. It was only 2 years, and if I'm padding my resume, I think I'd probably get in trouble, particularly if I'm looking to run for public office later on. Actually, I really shouldn't be here. The whole idea of sport and athletics was never so far from my mind growing up. I had parents that were both educators, and academics came well before athletics. And I think it was my junior year, one of my friends from school said, let's go down and join the wrestling team. And probably at 120 pounds, that sounded better than the football team to me. And my good friend, a week later, quit. So I kind of got stuck with it for 2 years. And at the end of my senior year, I was cleaning out my locker from the state meet and decided to go out and see what was going on out on the field. And they were running, I think they were about 3 weeks into the track season. And I'm sitting there in the stands, and the head coach says, why don't you come down here and run this? I said, what are we running? What, how far, what? He said, we're running a 400 time trial. And I hadn't done any training or anything else, and all I had was my wrestling shoes, which I don't think were really designed for a cinder track. And he neglected to tell me that there's a bear waiting on the corner after you've gone about 300 meters waiting to meet you. And I think the last 100 meters I stumbled and fell and came up with a cinder in my hip, which I still have and probably polluted the rest of my track career. But went on to Seattle Pacific and to help augment some of the finances at that point. I was encouraged to turn out for track down there and ran for 3 years for Ken Foreman, who's an outstanding collegiate coach and Olympic coach. And once again, had no idea that I was going to coach, teach. Both my mom and dad taught, and after listening to their horror stories, there was no way. But while I was at SPU, I got a part-time job at an elementary school. And I don't know if the sixth graders taking me to the tetherball post, tying me to it, and collecting a bunch of wood made me enthusiastic about trying to change some of their behavior. But when I got out of Seattle Pacific, I fortunately found a job in the Edmonds School District, both as a block of time teacher, which was in those days social studies or history, English, and I believe spelling. And of course, at that same time, they needed a track coach and ultimately a wrestling coach. And so really, all of this I kind of stumbled into. And then when Linwood High School opened up, the new Linwood High School, I think they were looking more for an assistant wrestling coach than a head track coach, but fortunately I was able to get that position for the boys. And about 4 years later, in a levy loss, they selected to give me the girls team too for 1 year. Now, 45 years later, I was still coaching the girls program along with the boys. So this is basically the way I've kind of fumbled into this. But I really want, at this point in time, to introduce my wife of 55 years of putting up with a lot of other kids or other parents' kids. I want to thank God and my family. I've got my 3 daughters here today. We've got 12 grandkids and 2 great-grandkids, and we've been able to kind of share this ride along with a lot of other parents, sons and daughters. The idea I think that I looked to as a coach was trying to bring along those individuals, kind of like me originally, that really didn't know what was there, and kind of tap that part of the person that they really had never looked at before. The background of a lot of our kids at Linwood High School was kind of broken families and so forth, and I think our programs there gave us an opportunity to kind of support a number of individuals in areas, and we've talked about this, I think everybody that spoke up here today, about what you can potentially become if you get the right mentorship. It's kind of ironic, about a week and a half ago, one of my granddaughters was in her first class for the new year, and she got talking to her teacher and said, well, I went to Linwood High School. And so McKenna offered my name, and she said, well, he's the reason I'm teaching history right now. And so it isn't just the athletic part of this, it's the academic part too that I think was very important. The other thing that I think is very important to our program and the success we had was I had a myriad of excellent assistant coaches. In fact, there are several of them sitting out here right now. And in fact, my right arm for 20-some years was Ernie Gosshorn. And Ernie, are you hiding? And Pat Haller, yep. And let's see, I think Steph's back there also, Stephanie Kastad. These are individuals that were all state champions under Ernie's tutelage, and I really, don't get any credit basically for what they've accomplished. But I want to thank the Athletic Commission here. This has given us an opportunity basically to reemphasize, I think, as a group, what athletics can do in individuals' lives. So thank you very much.
All right, we now have the opportunity to induct the 1972-73 Meadowdale High School football team. The 1972-73 Meadowdale football team was undefeated with a 10-0 season record. They outscored their opponents 248-66, which is still a school record. Coach Ron Bates was assisted by Terry Johnson, Skip Kays, and Tim Clark. Opposing coaches knew that Meadowdale started seniors in nearly every position. They knew early in the season that it would be very hard to score against the Chiefs. In the first 4 games, opponents only scored 7 points, and only one team scored more than 14 against them all year. Despite this excellent defense, the team had to come from behind in a couple games to keep the perfect season alive. Quarterback Mark Hobbs was one of the team leaders and rushed successfully all year, along with the equally talented halfback, Mark Rathke. The team also showed their resilience when Hobbs was experiencing flu-like symptoms against Blanchette. I don't know if they called it flu-like symptoms in 72, 73. They probably just called it the flu, but you get the idea. He was sick, and Don Barrell stepped up and around the Braves for a couple touchdowns in the season-ending win. It was the first Wesco title and a 10-0 season that will now be part of the Snohomish County Sports Hall of Fame. Let's meet some of the players and coaches from that team. All right. Don Barrialt. Bart Karstensen. J.C. Comet. Next up is Ed Dinas. Bill Ewing. Mark Fenimore. Steve Foster. Jeff Fox. Rick Geston. Steve Grupner. Randy Jackson. Jim Johansson. Tim McCormick. Scott McFarland. Mark Rathke. Lane Rail. Gary Smith. Lynn Sorensen. Doug Steinmetzer. Assistant coach Tim Clark. Head coach Ron Bates. And team captain Mark Hobbs. After we hear from Coach Bates and Captain Hobbs, we'll have a presentation to Meadowdale High's athletic director, Beth Marriott. So as Beth comes up, we'll have Coach Bates and Mark say a few words.
I think the average age of these guys is like 66, 67, and they're doing pretty good, aren't they? Pretty good. 72, that must have been in the dark ages, somewhere in there. Those guys were wearing leather helmets in those days. Can you believe that? Anyway, 72 was a magical season. They ripped off 10 wins just like that, and we got down to the last 3 wins that I'd like to make a comment on because there were 3 Blue Bloods at the time, and these were powerful teams. Seattle Prep, Snohomish, and Blanchette. And these kids took on these Blue Bloods and defeated them, and they wound up 10-0, no losses, and consequently over the fact that we didn't have a state playoff, they had sportscasters and sports writers do the voting, and in the state of Washington, we came in second, unfortunately. And in closing, I'd like to say a couple things. J.C. Comet, I thank you for the 49 years that you've kept this team together and going forward. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Snohomish County Hall of Fame for the fact is, recognize these guys. Thank you very much.
Coach, you stole all my thunder. You're going to hear a little bit of repeating here, I think. Good evening. My name is Mark Hobbs, and I had the privilege of being the quarterback of this incredible football team, the 1972-73 Meadowdale Chiefs. That was a magical season. We were the underdogs from a smaller school in the Western Football Conference with tough, high-caliber opponents, as he spoke to, some of which we had never won before at the varsity level. But this season was special. We just kept winning and winning. This very special team began us playing together as sophomores. We did well, all wins and 1 tie. Our junior year, we grew even more as a team with only 2 starting seniors and ended up with a 500 season. The media dubbed us the Blue Machine. The talent of this team became clear at the end of the season when 8 of us were named all-conference. We had a great coaching staff. Coach Ron Bates, Terry Johnson, our line coach, Skip Kays, our receiver and backfield coach, and Tim Clark, our assistant coach. We finished the season undefeated, 10-0. The only AAA school in the state that was undefeated. Even though we were undefeated, thank you. Even though we were undefeated, we were not ranked number 1. Wenatchee was. They'd won the last 2 years previous, and I don't think everybody even heard of Meadowdale at that time. We ended up being ranked number 2. Did not sit well with us. We were the only team undefeated. They were 9-1. But it was out of our control at that time. All we could do is win. All of them. To the tribute to this team, J.C. Comet spearheaded the design of some commemorative, I got it right, team rings, which include the quote that I have on my ring that was made by Rick Geston. And it simply states, "You can't do better than win them all, folks." So we have that on our ring to remember. It doesn't say state champions, it says Western Conference champions, and that's what we were. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge some team members who are no longer with us. Pat Hoffer, Joe Silva, Tom Yaros, thank you, and my good friend Glenn Rice, and our backfield coach Skip Hayes, who are all integral into the team's success. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my co-captain, our co-captain, Dave Vick, who unfortunately could not make it to this event. At this time, I'd like JC to come and join me. And I'd like to say it's an honor and a privilege to present this trophy to the athletic director of Meadowdale High School.
Coach Harmon. Coach Harmon.
Coach Harmon? No, this is the athletic director right here.
I didn't see you.
It's all right.
Here you go.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Thank you very
much.
And also,
go ahead, JC, go ahead.
Also, we'd like to present to you a banner from the 72 Chiefs, okay?
There you go.
With what we had on it, which was, you can't do better than win them all.
Go Chiefs!
Go Chiefs. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't know you were here.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you are.
Absolutely.
You got Coach Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, the irony in all of this is that I'm a Wenatchee girl. Sorry, boys. And I was coached by legendary football coach Lee Bofto as a softball player. But I could not be more proud of the 72-73 football team, and Meadowdale High School is incredibly proud of this group, and we're honored to be inducted in this. So thank you so very much. Also, our head coach, James Harmon, is here. So the next generation of Mavericks, we're excited. Thank you again for tonight.
It's difficult to corral these folks. So while the football team is still there, could the rest of the inductees please join them for a class photo? So individual inductees, coaches, individual athletes, please join the team over there for a team photo. All right. And that essentially is a wrap, folks. We appreciate you coming out and masking up and staying apart while we can get together. We'll see you next year.